Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today, sit a while for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators, who in this episode are going to try to go for a millionth cup in a row, or some number around those parts. Alright, so we have 6 games left in April before we hit the playoffs, and we are in a tough battle with Pittsburgh for top spot in the East. So we are tied at 125 points each, and we both have 6 games left to play on our respective schedules. So it's going to be pretty tough, but I still have a chance to finish first. So let's see if that happens. We're also going to keep a little bit of an eye on Jason Spezza, who needs 7 points in 6 games to reach 100, and we know he can do it. Alright, so obviously it's in April, there's no trades, nothing like that, so not really anything to look at from that perspective. It's probably going to be a little bit of a longer video because there's 6 games here and then the playoffs, so please bear with me. I can already feel my voice that's about to give up on me, so that should be fun. Alright, let's get going. Shane Doan has produced 300 goals in his career. So, got a goal and 2 assists against Colorado. 32 years old, Shane Doan, 2-star player. Seems to me that he's declining a little bit faster than he did in real life. Alright, Eugene Melnick is very happy with my work, as we went 11-3-1 last month. Alrighty, so we are starting the month on the road. I believe it's the culmination of a pretty long road trip that started at the end of March, if I remember correctly. So we are going to be in Boston tonight. Boston is pretty good. They are 41-28-7. That's good for 5th in the East. We are 3-1 against the Bruins this year. Go Sens, go! Oh, I thought I clicked on continue. I guess not. Alright, so Brian Elliott in net for us, Thomas Vokoun in net for Boston. And we start the month with a 5-0 win. Alrighty, we outshot the Bruins 39-24. Mike Fisher was the first of the game. He had 2 goals. Mark Streit was the 2nd star with 2 assists. And Ryan Callahan was the 3rd star with an assist. So we scored 3 times in the first period. Mike Fisher scored his 15th from Brooks Laich and Zdeno Chara. Then Anton Volchenkov scored his 10th from Sam Gagner and Patrick Eves. Then Jason Spezza scored on a power play from Mark Streit and Joe Thornton. And just like that, we were up 3-0 after 1. Then Marianosa scored on the power play in the 3rd period. Nobody scored in the 2nd from Mark Streit and Jason Spezza. And then Mike Fisher scored short-handed from Ryan Callahan. And 5-0 is the final score. So Jason Spezza got 2 points in that game. So now he needs 5 to finish the season with 100 points, of course. A memorable night for Johan Franzen, who had 3 goals and an assist against the Blues. Speaking of the Blues, Yann Laperriere is back from suspension, back in the lineup over there. Blake Wheeler has a strong game for Phoenix. He had 4 goals against the Kings. Actually, it was all the goals that the Coyotes scored in that game. So it was Blake Wheeler 4, the Los Angeles Kings 1. Alright. Alrighty. And now we are back home for a game. We're going to host the Philadelphia Flyers. Jonas Nordquist and Matthias Johansson are available on waivers. Marcus Neslin has reached 400 goals in his career, with 2 goals against the Florida Panthers. So 35 years old, Marcus Neslin, 2.5-star player still. Brad Richards has reached 600 points in his career. He had a goal against the New Jersey Devils. And Drew Doughty is feeling better. Alright, and we are hosting the Flyers. So Flyers are right there in a playoff spot right now. They are 37, 34, and 6. They have the 8th and last spot in the East at the moment. We are 2-1 against the Flyers this season. Now I know of at least one of you who probably wishes the Flyers win this one. Of course, I want to win them all, so go Sens go. Jeremy Duchesne in net for the Flyers and Brian Elliott in net for us. And we lost 2-1. So at least one of you is probably going to be happy about this result here. Let's see. So we did outshoot the Flyers 29-17. Mike Richards was the first star of the game. He had a goal. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with a goal as well. And TJ Oshie was the third star with a goal. We had 16,724 people in attendance for this game. Pavel Datsyuk opened up the scoring in the first period from Scott Niedermayer. And then nobody scored... the Flyers did score in the second period. Tied the game at 1. And then, oh, that one hurts. Mike Richards scored with 6 seconds left to go in the third period to make it 2-1 Flyers and run away with the win. Alright, so Jason Spezza didn't get a point, so he still needs 5 points in 4 games to reach 100 points this season. Miroslav Shatan has played in 1,000 games with the Oilers, and he celebrated with a goal and an assist, so pretty nice way to reach 1,000 games. That happened against the Vancouver Canucks. 34 years old, 2.5-star talent still, Miroslav Shatan. So Tommy Pettinen in Colorado is not suspended. Mike Green in Washington has a great game. He had 4 assists against Atlanta. And in that same game, Alexander Semin had a hat-trick. Drew Doughty is about to be back. Dressing room prank may sideline Anton Babchuk in Nashville. We've read that before, so yeah, it's a prank that turned bad. We are going to be in Montreal tonight, playing against the Habs. If you don't know how I feel about the Habs by now, you have not been paying much attention, or you have skipped a lot of content that I have put out. Either way, I hope I'm going to win this one. Montreal, pretty good, 53-21-4. That's good for 4th in the East. We are 4-0-1 against Montreal this year. So Brian Elliott is going to be in net for us. Carey Price in net for the Habs. And we won 5-3. Good job. So we outshot Montreal 38-23. Jason Spezza was the first star of the game. He had 3 assists. Stephen Weiss was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Sheldon Surrey was the third star with an assist. So Montreal scored 3 times in the first period, and it didn't look too good for us at that point. They were up 3-0 after 1. Then Mike Fisher chipped away at the lead a little bit in the second period with a goal of his own from Chris Kelly, and it was 3-1 Montreal after 2. But then we scored 4 unanswered goals in the third period. Chris Kelly scored on the power play from Mark Streit and Jason Spezza. Then Marian Hossa scored his 20th from Pavel Datsyuk and Jason Spezza. Then Pavel Datsyuk scored from Jason Spezza again. And then Anton Volchenkov sealed the deal in an empty net from Mike Fisher and Sheldon Surrey. 5-3 is the final score. And Spezza got 3 points, so he only needs 2 in 3 games now to reach 100. I think he can do it. No further discipline for Calgary's Blair Betts, not suspended. Alright, Drew Doughty is back in the lineup. Alright, and now we are back at home. We're going to play 2 home games before finishing the season on the road. So this time we are hosting the Bruins, whom we just played in Boston not too long ago, actually a few games ago, and we won 5-0. So now the Bruins are 42-29-7, and they are still 5th in the East. We are 4-1 against Boston. Thomas Vokoun in net for Boston again. This time we're going to Ryan Miller. And we lost 4-2. I think we're conceding first place to the Pittsburgh Penguins by now. We outshot Boston 28-20. Patrice Bergeron was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 3 assists. Marian Hossa was the second star with 2 goals. And Andy Murray was the third star. Andrew Murray with a goal and an assist. 15,944 people in attendance for that game. Boston scored first in the first period, and then Marian Hossa scored from Chris Kelly and Scott Niedermayer, tied at 1 after 1. Boston scored twice in the second period to take a 3-1 lead, and then in the third period, Marian Hossa scored from Zdeno Chara and Pavel Datsyuk, made it 3-2, but then a few minutes later, Glenn Murray scored, made it 4-2, and that was too much. We just couldn't catch up. So 4-2 loss. And Jason Spezza didn't get any points, so he still needs 2 points in 2 games. Jaromir Jagr extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal and an assist against Tampa Bay. Alright, and now we are going to host the New Jersey Devils. So for the Devils, it hasn't been easy this season. They are 36-40-4. That's good for 10th in the East. Yeah, they have no hopes of making the playoffs by now. They are 8 points out with 2 games left to play, so the math doesn't add up. Alright, so we are 3-0 against the Devils this season. So let's see if we can beat them one last time. Martin Brodeur in net for the Devils. We are going to Brian Elliott. And we won 4-1. We outshot the Devils 51-18. Joe Thornton was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Scott Niedermayer was the second star with 2 assists, and Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with a goal. 17,339 people in attendance for this game. So the Devils scored first in the first period, and they were up 1-0 after 1. Then in the second period, we had Joe Thornton score from Patrick Eaves and Scott Niedermayer. Then Pavel Datsyuk on the power play from Anton Volchenkov and Joe Thornton. 2-1 Sens after 2. And then we scored 2 more goals in the third period. Eric Condra scored from Joe Thornton, and then Jason Spezza from Scott Niedermayer. 4-1, the final score for the Sens, and of course the Jason Spezza watch. He got 1 point, so he needs 1 point in his last game to get to 100 this season. And speaking of Spezza, he now has 600 points in the NHL with his goal. Already 600 points, and he's only 25 years old. 4.5-star player Jason Spezza, probably going to be on the team for a while. 99 points. Come on, you can do it. You can get a point against Toronto. A night to remember for Simon Gagné, who had a hat-trick against the Rangers. Jaromir Jagr extends his goal streak to 6 games. He had a goal and an assist against the Islanders. Eric Bélanger in LA is suspended. He's going to miss 4 games. Alright, and now we are going to play the last game of the regular season. It's going to be against the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. Toronto is 39, 34, and 8, and they are 7th in the East. Depending on the result of this game, combined to the last game for Pittsburgh on the calendar, and a couple other things, there is a chance that we face Toronto in the first round. So it could be a preview of that first round matchup. We are 4-1 this season against the Leafs. So Brian Elliott in net for us, Ty Conklin in net for Toronto. And we won 1-0 in overtime. Oh, it was in the shootout. So Jason Spezza didn't get a point. He finished the season at 99 points. Oh, that's such a disappointment. Alright, so we outshot Toronto 33-19 in that game. Ryan Callahan, first star, Eric Cole, second star, and Zdeno Chara, third star. No points for anybody. And there's really not much to look at. Yeah, Joe Thornton scored the game winner in the shootout. I can't believe that Jason Spezza fell short. Alexander Radulov improves at left wing. Alright, so that's it for us for the regular season. Now we won our game. So let's see if Pittsburgh wins theirs. Yeah, they did. So they are considered to be first in the East, and we are considered to be second. Yeah, they did get one more win than we did. Jaromir Jagr extends his goal streak to 7 games. He scored a goal against Montreal. Greg Zanon loves his fans in Anaheim, so he gave pizza and stuff. We've seen that before. Pretty cool guy, Greg Zanon, is what fans would say, probably. Alright. Joe Sakic now has 1,800 points in his career. He had an assist against St. Louis. 39 years old. Joe Sakic, still a 2.5-star player, so still a pretty capable player, just not as dominant as he used to be. Alright, so now we have the trophy nominees. So for the Hart, we have Daniel Sedin, Jason Spezza, and Sidney Crosby. The Vezina is going to go to Brian Elliott, Marc-Andre Fleury, or Pecorine. The Norris is going to be between Alex Goligoski, Nick Lidstrom, and Zdeno Chara. Calder is going to be between Jamie Benn, Michael Frolik, and Steven Stamkos. So Ben had 54 points. Frolik had 58. Wow. And Stamkos had 36. Yeah, I think maybe Frolik wins it. GM of the Year is not going to be me. What a surprise. Mark Craig in Anaheim, Mike Keenan in Chicago, and Ray Shero in Nashville are the nominees. The Selkie is going to be between Chris Kelly, Darren Helm, and Derek McKenzie. Oh, Chris Kelly had a pretty good season. 48 points plus 37. That's pretty good. Lady Byng is going to be between Mark Streit, Michael Frolik, and Phil Kessel. Some people could say there's some irony with the third nominee, but alright. Mark Messier Leadership Award between Alexei Yashin, Matthias Olun, and Rob Blake. Ted Lindsay is going to go to Daniel Sedin, Jason Spezza, or Sidney Crosby. Jack Adams is going to be either Claude Julien in Nashville, Ed Olchuk in Anaheim, or Lindy Ruff in Ottawa. Alright, we are about to see... Oh, look at that! Alright, well, the Florida Panthers finally made it into the playoffs, and they are facing us in the first round. So we're there for their very first foray into the playoffs since I started this playthrough. So that's pretty interesting. Alright, so a couple things to look at before we get started. Alright, so first I want to look at the matchups. I like to look at it from the little tree here. So Columbus is going to face Nashville in the West, Edmonton against Anaheim, San Jose against Minnesota, and Chicago against Detroit. Oh, Chicago and Detroit could be interesting for historical reasons, I suppose. In the East, it's going to be Toronto against Pittsburgh, Florida against us, Philadelphia against Atlanta, and Boston against Montreal. The good old rivalry of Boston and Montreal there. Alright, so we are about to face Florida. We're going to take a look at their lineup. So, that's going to be tough for them. Their best defenseman is hurt. So, Jay Boomister is not going to be playing in that playoff series. And neither is Sasha Gotch. They are both still out for 1 to 2 months. Now, among the players that are actually going to play, we have Jacob Markstrom and Jason LeBarbera in net. Corey Murphy, Matt Jones, I think. Yep. Paul Ranger, Douglas Murray, Jason Garrison, Rob Scudery, and Yuri Fisher on D. That D is not too scary. Tanner Glass, Nathan Orton, Matt Molson, Sergei Samsonov, Andy Ilbert, Greg Campbell, Sergei Fyodorov, Ryan Kessler, Tatasek, Connolly, Parrish, Frolic, Stewart, and Uzelius. So their offense is okay. The D and goaltending, not so much. We should be able to beat them. I would hope, I would think. Please don't fail. Alrighty, so Florida is in town. We just looked at them. We went 3-0 again, 3-1, against them this season. Let's see if we can beat them now. So Jason LeBarbera in net for Florida. We are going to Brian Elliott. We lost the first game 3-1. So the Florida Panthers won their very first playoff game in my universe. We outshot them 35-22. Christian Uzelius was the first star of the game. He had a goal. Anton Volchenkov was the second star with a goal as well. And Tanner Glass was the third star with a goal as well. We had 20,510 people in attendance to see us lose against the Florida Panthers. So the Panthers took a 1-0 lead into the first period. And then nobody scored all the way into the third, where they scored again. And then Volchenkov scored shortly after from Joe Thornton and Zdeno Chara, made it 2-1. But then with 34 seconds left to go in the third period, Tanner Glass scored in an empty net, made it 3-1. We lost this game. Yikes. I'm sure the press is not too happy in the paper the next day. Chad LaRose in Montreal is suspended. He's going to miss a game. And same deal for Maxim Afinogenov in Detroit. He's also going to miss a game. Alright, we are going to be hosting the Florida Panthers again for game 2. Oh, I forgot to check the results of the other games. I'm terrible. Let's take a look. So, Nashville won, Anaheim won, Minnesota won, Chicago won. Pittsburgh won, Florida won, Atlanta won, and Boston won. I will try and do better, I'm sorry. So let's see. Same goaltenders, Jason LeBarbera and Brian Elliott. And we won that one, 4-1, series tied at 1. That's more like it. We outshot the Panthers 48-24. Joe Thornton was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals. Mark Streit was the second star with 2 assists. And Zdeno Chara was the third star with a goal. 19,999 people in attendance for this game. Florida scored first, and we weren't feeling too good at that point, but before the period ended, it was 10 seconds into the period too. But with 57 seconds left to go in the first, Zdeno Chara scored on the power play from Pavel Datsyuk, and it was tied at 1 after 1. Then in the second, we had Joe Thornton score on the power play from Jason Spezza and Mark Streit, and then Drew Doughty from Marian Hossa and Mark Streit, 3-1, Sens after 2. And finally, in the third period, Joe Thornton scored his second goal of the game from Brooks Lake, made it 4-1 Sens, and that's all she wrote. Series tied at 1. Chad LaRose back in the lineup. Joffrey Lupul lights the lamp in Anaheim. He had a hat-trick against Edmonton. Afinagenov back in the lineup as well. Finished serving his suspension. Alright, so Minnesota won, Anaheim won, Detroit won, Columbus won, Montreal won, Pittsburgh won, Philadelphia won, and we won. Quite a few series are tied at 1 now. Alright, so we are in Florida. Of course, still against the Panthers. Brian Elliott, Jason LeBarbera, the same 2 goaltenders. And we won 5-2. Oh, we're up 2-1 now. We outshot Florida 42-24. Ryan Callahan was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Jason Spezza was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Mike Fisher was the third star with a goal. So Mike Fisher opened up the scoring in the first from Ryan Callahan. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. No penalties in the first period. Oof, that's pretty sad. First playoff game in Florida for the Panthers, and they attracted 8,162 people. They've been so bad for so long, I bet it's gonna take them forever to draw in a considerable amount of fans. Right, and then in the second period, Ryan Callahan scored from Drew Doughty, then Joe Thornton from Patrick Eves and Brooks Lake, and then Mark Streit on the power play from Alexander Radulov and Jason Spezza. It was 4-0 Sens at that point. Ryan Kessler scored a couple goals before the end of the period, and we were up 4-2. And there was a fight between Zdeno Chara and Tanner Glass. Tanner Glass doing his job there. He took our best defenseman out of the lineup for 5 minutes, and then Jason Spezza scored in the third period from Pavel Datsyuk. 5-2 the final score, and we are up 2-1. A night to remember for Sidney Crosby, who had 3 goals and an assist against Toronto. Excellent passing leads to productive night for Francois Beauchemin in Montreal. He had a goal and 4 assists. Stéphane Veilleux set everything up tonight in Minnesota. He had 4 assists against San Jose. And in that same game, Ray Whitney had a hat-trick. Alright, so there were a few high scores there. So Minnesota won, Anaheim won, Chicago won, Nashville won, Montreal destroyed Boston 10-3, Pittsburgh won, Philadelphia won, and we won. Lots of goals scored yesterday in the NHL playoffs. Alright, playing in Florida again. Let's see if we can beat the Panthers one more time. Brian Elliott, Jason LeBarbera, and we won 41, and we're up 3-1 in the series. We outshot the Panthers 50-13 in that one. Joe Thornton was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Zdeno Chara was the second star with 2 assists. Chris Kelly was the third star with an assist. So we opened up the scoring in the first. It was Mark Streit from Brooks Like and Joe Thornton. And then Tanner Glass and Zdeno Chara fought again. So Chara needs to stop getting sucked in by Tanner Glass like that. Then in the second period, early in the second, Joe Thornton scored on the power play from Chris Kelly and Zdeno Chara, made it 2-0 at that point, and then Florida cut the lead in half before the end of the period. We were up 2-1 after 2. Nobody took a penalty in the second or in the third for that matter. And in the third period, we scored twice. Ryan Cahan from Mike Fisher and Zdeno Chara, and Scott Niedermayer from Joe Thornton and Patrick Eves. 4-1 is the final score today. Fans in Florida are probably feeling sad, but not too many of them, because not many of them are going to the games. Marcus Naslund is hurt out 4 months. Oh, that's going to hurt Atlanta. A torn hip labrum. Ray Whitney lights the lamp. He had 4 goals against the Wild, so he had a hat-trick the game before and then 4 goals the game after. Alright, so San Jose won, Anaheim won, Chicago won, Nashville won, Boston won, Toronto avoided... I was going to say it in French. Toronto avoided elimination. Philadelphia won, and we won. Alright, so the series is back in Ottawa, where we can finish off the Panthers on home ice in front of our fans. That would be nice. Jason LaBarbera is the goaltender still, and we are still going to Brian Elliott. Yeah, it's not LaBarbera's fault. I mean, he has a .920 save percentage in those playoffs. That's respectable, so that's not because of him that they're losing. And we won 3-0, so again, not LaBarbera's fault. His team didn't score. We outshot Florida 38-15. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Andre Meszaros was the second star with a goal. And Scott Niedermayer was the third star with an assist. 20,510 people in attendance for this final game against the Panthers. Andre Meszaros opened up the scoring in the first from Scott Niedermayer. And then in the second, we had Pavel Datsyuk score from Patrick Eves and Joe Thornton. And then Jason Spezza from Pavel Datsyuk and Marian Hossa. 3-0 was the final score. Big game for Sidney Crosby, who had 4 goals against Toronto and eliminated almost all by himself the Leafs. Right, so Minnesota won, Nashville 9-5. Wow, those scores are out of control. I think Chicago eliminated Detroit. So if we can make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, it's going to be against another team than Detroit, because we have faced Detroit every year in the finals except for one, when we faced Columbus. And then Boston won, we won, Pittsburgh won, and Philadelphia won. Alright, and Montreal beat Boston in the only series that is still alive. And Montreal eliminated Boston, which means that we are facing yet again the Habs in the playoffs. I will not be able to live with myself if they eliminate us. I might have to go to therapy or something. The sad part about it is that they have a pretty good team. They really built a pretty strong team in Montreal. It's one of the good teams outside of mine that, and they did it not by just banking on their own draft picks, because as you know, each team gets the players that they drafted. So for Pittsburgh, it's pretty easy to be good because they have Fleury, they have Crosby, they have Malkin, they still have Jagger. I mean, all of those players were drafted by the team, so they have all of those good players. As long as they don't trade them away like they did with a couple of them in real life, they're still going to be good. But Montreal, I mean, in the 2000s, they weren't very good for many years. They had a couple pretty good years. Like, I know that there's a year that Kovalev was there and he had a really good season and everything. But overall, especially at the start of the 2000s, the Montreal Canadiens were pretty bad and they weren't drafting very well either. So that they're that good is because they really built a team. Now I'm gonna go shower after giving the Habs some props like that. I feel dirty. Alright, let's nominate a player for the Hall of Fame. I like Glenn Wesley. Let's nominate Glenn Wesley. I might not vote for him. Even I might not vote for him, but I'm nominating him. Alright, so, well, Montreal's going to be in town. We went 5-0-1 against Montreal during the regular season. Alright, so Chris Higgins is not going to play, at least not at first. He's still hurt for a little bit. Thomas Plekanec is also hurt, not going to play, and Jack Johnson may or may not play. So if you look at the star ratings there, you're going to see that they have a pretty good team. So Alec and Price in net, that's pretty good. Beauchemin, Markov, Ryan McDonough, PK Subban, Matthew Schneider, Jack Johnson, Sami Lepisto, and Yoni Pitkanen on D. That's a really good D. Maybe even better than mine. Or pretty close. Frolov, Pacioretty, Williams, Weiss, Brûlé, McKenzie, Plekanec, Steve Ott, Louis Eriksson, Mike Ribeiro, Chad LaRose, Teddy Purcell, and Rafi Torres. So that team is pretty good. Oh, let's take a look at... Alright, so Chicago and Nashville are going to face off in the second round in the West, and then Minnesota and Anaheim, and then the rivals, the Flyers and the Penguins, are gonna face off against each other, and then us and Montreal. So there's a few pretty interesting series there. Alright, Carey Price in net for Montreal. We are going to Brian Elliott. Go Sens, go. And it starts with a 3-2 loss in overtime. And we outshot Montreal 49-17. Jack Johnson was the first star of the game. He had an assist. Joe Thornton was the second star of the game with 2 assists. And Carey Price was the third star with 47 saves. 20,510 people in attendance for that game. I believe that's the max that our arena can hold. Marianos opened up the scoring in the first on the power play from Joe Thornton and Chris Kelly, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then nobody scored in the second, and Montreal took a 2-1 lead at the start of the third, and then we had Zdeno Chara tie the game from Marianos and Joe Thornton. It was tied at 2 after 3, and then in the first overtime, Derek McKenzie played the hero for Montreal with the goal. Alright. Now let's take a look at the other series. So Anaheim beat Minnesota. Chicago beat Nashville. Philadelphia beat Pittsburgh. And Montreal beat us. Alright, so hosting the Habs again. We're hoping for better fortunes this time. Carey Price in net for Montreal. Brian Elliott in net for the Sens. We lost 3-1. We're down 2-0 in that series. I'm starting to feel uneasy. We outshot Montreal 28-22. Matthew Schneider was the first star of the game. He had an assist. Joe Thornton was the second star with a goal, and Chad LaRose was the third star with an assist. 20,510 people left the arena pretty damn disappointed. Well, probably not all of them. I'm sure some Montreal fans made the ride. It's about a 5-hour drive. No, sorry, that's from my hometown. From Montreal, it's about a 3-hour and something drive from Montreal to Ottawa. So Joe Thornton opened up the scoring in the first period. It was his 5th of the playoffs on the power play from Chris Kelly and Mark Streit, but then Montreal tied the game. It was tied at 1 after 1. Montreal scored in the second period, made it 2-1, then scored in the third period, made it 3-1. We would never recover. We left pretty sad. At least I was. Oh, that's just dandy. So we lost Drew Doughty for 3 months with a torn triceps. Go on the injured reserve, Doughty. Alright, who am I getting now? Do I get Pietrangelo? Or do I get Tim Gleason? I'm getting Pietrangelo. Let's get the youngster. Alright. Alright, so Anaheim won, Nashville won, Philadelphia won again. Somebody must be happy, and Montreal beat us again. Now somebody's not happy about that. Alright, so we are now moving in Montreal. We're down to nothing. Nothing's working. We need a 10-1 win or something. We won 3-1. Just 7 goals short of what I asked, but we'll take it. It was still Brian Elliott and Carey Price in net, I did not mention. We outshot Montreal 34-20. Marian Hossa was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals. Mike Ribeiro was the second star with an assist, and Joe Thornton was the third star with 2 assists. So Montreal scored first, then Marian Hossa scored on the power play from Joe Thornton and Anton Volchenkov. We were tied at 1 after 1. Lots of penalties in the first. Then in the second period, we had Andre Mazzaro scored from Martin Havlat and Alexander Radulov. We were up 2-1 after 2. And in the third period, Marian Hossa scored on the power play from Joe Thornton, made it 3-1, and a little bit of relief in the Ottawa dressing room as we now made the series 2-1 Montreal with that win. Alright, and Anaheim won, Chicago won, Philadelphia shellacked Pittsburgh 9-1, and they are now up 3-0 in their series against Pittsburgh. Philadelphia is going to cause an upset at this point. Alright, so Matt Unwick, in case you forgot that we had him, he is now starting to resume practice, which means that he's about 2 weeks away from returning. Alright, we are back in Montreal again. We need to tie the series. Brian Elliott in net for us, Carey Price in net for the Habs. And we won 5-2, series tied at 2. Go Sens go. with renewed confidence. Montreal outshot us 37-28. Jason Spezza was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with 2 assists, and Mark Streit was the third star with a goal. Jason Spezza opened up the scoring in the first period, only 10 seconds into the first. He scored on Carey Price from Zdeno Chara and Pavel Datsyuk. Then Mark Streit scored from Patrick Eaves and Joe Thornton. It was 2-0 Sens after 1. Nobody scored in the second. And then in the third period, we had Eric Condra score from Marinosa. Then Montreal scored. Then Jason Spezza scored from Scott Niedermayer and Pavel Datsyuk. Then Montreal scored again, and finally Chris Kelly finished it off, assisted by Joe Thornton, made it 5-2, and the series was tied at 2, and now we're feeling a lot more confident about ourselves. Right, so Anaheim won, Nashville won, Pittsburgh finally won a game, so Philadelphia didn't sweep them. Alright, so we are hosting Montreal. We can take a 3-2 lead into the series with a win. Carey Price in net, Brian Elliott in net. Lots of fans in the stands. And we won 5-2, so the home team finally wins a game. We outshot Montreal 39-28, and that one, Pavel Datsyuk was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Brooks Laich was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Jason Spezza was the third star with a goal and an assist as well. 20,510 people in attendance for that one again. Patrick Eaves opened up the scoring in the first from Joe Thornton and Brooks Laich. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Jason Spezza scored his 5th of the playoffs from Pavel Datsyuk. And then Alexander Radulov from Martin Havlat and Andre Mizaros. 3-0 Sens after 2. And then in the third period, Montreal scored, then Brooks Laich scored from Mark Streit and Patrick Eaves, then Montreal scored again, and finally Pavel Datsyuk from Jason Spezza and Marinosa made it 5-2, and that was our final score, with the Sens now up 3-2 in the series. Pittsburgh won again. Ooh. And then Nashville won against Chicago. And we won. So, Pittsburgh is coming back in that series. Are they going to do the impossible? Alright, we are in Montreal, so we can go and win it on the road in front of Habs fans. That would be beautiful. Brian Elliott for us, Carey Price for the Habs. Yes! And we dispatched the Montreal Canadiens. There is still some right in the world with a 3-2 win in Montreal. We were outshot 32-25. Sheldon Surrey was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Rafi Torres was the second star with a goal. Chris Kelly was the third star with 2 assists. Montreal scored first in the first period. And they even took a 2-0 lead in the game, but in the second. But then we tied it up with 2 goals in 1:26. First, it was Jason Spezza from Mark Streit and Brooks Laich, and then Joe Thornton from Chris Kelly and Sheldon Surrey, tied at 2 after 2. And then Joe Thornton played the hero with 1:27 left to go in the third period from Chris Kelly and Sheldon Surrey. That was the game winner and the goal that would put the Montreal Canadiens away for yet another season. And Philadelphia eliminated Pittsburgh, so we're gonna face the Flyers in the Eastern Conference Final. So I know of somebody that might feel a little conflicted. And then Chicago won against Nashville. So that was a surprise. I thought for sure we were going to face Pittsburgh in the conference finals, and Chicago eliminated Nashville. So Chicago's having a surge here. Of course, they have Taves and Kane and Duncan Keith now in the lineup, so they stopped sucking because they were bad for a while. But now they have some good players, and they didn't even have to do anything to get them too. All right, I guess I can't talk at, that's what happened with Jason Spezza, for example, for me. Alright, so as was mentioned already, we are going to be facing the Philadelphia Flyers. So if memory serves right, the Flyers have shady goaltending, shady D, but really good offense. And we were 2-2 against them this season. So only one injury in Philadelphia, and it's Jussi Timonen, and he may or may not play. He is capable of it. It's a playable injury. So Jeremy Duchesne and Brent Johnson in net, Yaroslav Modry, Pardy, Timonen, Zinger, Wojciech, Richie Regier, and Mike Komisarek on D. That's not a D that's going to get you many points, except maybe for Yaroslav Modry. The rest is pretty forgettable, at least from a scoring points perspective. And up front, it looks a lot better. So Steve Downey, Mike Richards, Simon Gagné, Martin St. Louis, Rod Brennamore, Jeff Carter, Claude Giroux, Ubasek, Fraser, Darryl Powell, TJ Oshie, Matt Cook, Maxim Sushinsky, and Paul Gastad. Alright, well, go Sens go. We are hosting them for the first game. It's going to be Brent Johnson in net for Philadelphia, and we are going to Brian Elliott. We lost the first game 1-0, so we started each series with a loss so far, but we prevailed and won the first two. We outshot the Flyers 35-24. Brent Johnson was the first star of the game with 35 saves, the shutout, and the W. Mark Streit was the second star without any point, and Richie Regier was the third star with an assist. 20,510 people in attendance, and Simon Gagné scored on the power play in the first period. That was the only goal of the game. Jeff Carter and Zdeno Chara did fight in the first period. Alright, so we started with another loss. So we've been coming back from behind for each series so far, so we can do it again. Alright, so we have the Flyers in town again. Go Sens, go! I forgot to check the results of the other series. I'm like that. So it was Brent Johnson and Brian Elliott. We won 4-3, series tied at 1. We outshot Philadelphia 32-16. Jason Spezza was the first star. He had 2 goals. Jeff Carter was the second star with 2 goals as well. And Alexander Radulov was the third star with a goal and 2 assists. 19,089 people in attendance for that game. So Radulov scored the first goal of the game from Martin Avlat and Eric Kondra. And then Philadelphia tied the game at 1 before the end of the period. It was tied at 1 after 1. Then in the second period we have Jason Spezza scoring from Anton Volchenkov and Pavel Datsyuk. And then Philadelphia tied the game again, tied at 2 after 2. Then Spezza scored again on the power play from Alexander Radulov, and then Mark Streit on the power play as well from Radulov and Scott Niedermayer, made it 4-2. Matt Cook would score with 26 seconds left to go in the third period, but they were still 1 short, and we won that one. Tied the series at 1. And Chicago beat Anaheim. Their series is tied at 1 as well, so both series tied at 1. Alright, so now we are going to play in Philadelphia against the Flyers, of course. It's going to be Brian Elliott and Brent Johnson in net. And we won 2-0. So shout out for Brian Elliott. We outshot Philadelphia 37-32. Elliott was the first star of the game with his 32 saves, with the shutout and the victory. Then Yaroslav Modry was the second star without any points, and Jason Spezza was the third star with both goals. So Spezza scored both of his goals in the second period. The first one from Pavel Datsyuk and Marinosa, and the second one on the power play. It was his 10th of the playoffs from Scott Niedermayer and Pavel Datsyuk. 2-0. The final score. The Ducks lost Chris Kunitz out for 3 months with a torn meniscus. Alright, and Matt Unwick is about to come back. And Anaheim took a 2-1 lead in their series despite losing Chris Kunitz. Alright, and now we are in Philly again. We are up 2-1 in our series. Brian Elliott against Brent Johnson. And we won 5-3. We took a serious option here to go to the Stanley Cup Finals again. We outshot Philadelphia 40-21. Joe Thornton was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Simon Gagne was the second star with 3 assists. Pretty good game still. And Andre Mazzaros was the third star with a goal and an assist. So Joe Thornton opened up the scoring in the first from Scott Niedermayer. Then the Flyers scored, and then Jason Spezza scored from Marinosa and Scott Niedermayer. And then the Flyers tied the game again. So it was tied at 2 after 1. Then in the second period, we had Brooks-like score from Andre Mazzaros and Joe Thornton. Made it 3-2. There was a fight between Jeff Carter and Zdeno Chara. Again, they must not like each other. Philadelphia tied the game up in the third period, but then Andre Mazzaros scored from Martin Avlat and Eric Condra, and finally Patrick Eves from Brooks-like and Joe Thornton. 5-3 the final score in that one. We are up 3-1 in the series, and we can finish it up in front of our fans in Ottawa. And I forgot to check the score for the other series as well. I guess I'm getting tired or something. Alright, Matt Unwick might be coming back. So I apologize for that. Let's see. The Ducks won again, so the Ducks and I might face in the Stanley Cup Finals. Flyers back in town, Brent Johnson and Brian Elliott still in net. And we won 3-0, so sorry. Looks like the Sens are going to the Stanley Cup Finals again. At least it's not going to be against the Detroit Red Wings. I can at least say that much. So 3-0 win. We outshot the Flyers 43-17. Alexander Radulov was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Martin Avlat was the second star with an assist, and Eric Condra was the third star with a goal. 19,767 people in attendance for this game. So we had Marian Osa open up the scoring in the first period from Jason Spezza. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Eric Condra scored from Alexander Radulov, made it 2-0. And finally, Mark Streit with his 5th from Alexander Radulov and Martin Avlat shore up the scoring. 3-0 is the final score in the final game of the Eastern Conference Finals. Yes, we know that Unwick is about to come back. He's going to be ready for the Stanley Cup Final, but I don't know if I'm going to put him in the lineup or not. Yeah, he is back. And I did it again. This is ridiculous. Somebody ought to yell at me or something. Well, I guess Chicago won, or else it would show me the Ducks as my next opponent. Yeah, Chicago won. So Anaheim is up 3-2. And we're facing Anaheim. They won 5-2 there. The game number 6. Well, Sens fans, that's kind of a rematch a couple years later, but still a rematch of something that happened in real life that most Sens fans probably want to at least forget the end result, not the experience of having your team go to the Stanley Cup Finals, but we really didn't play very well when we faced the Ducks in real life. In the finals, they really outplayed us. Alright, so Anaheim is going to be in town. So Anaheim went 55-21-6 in the regular season. That's pretty good. We did win the only game we played against Anaheim this season. Let's see if they have injuries other than Chris Kunitz. Oh yeah, Chris Kunitz is right there. Not even an injured reserve. Alright, so Brizgalov and Erzberg in net. Kutlak, Schmid, Mitchell, Zanen, Popovich, Pratt, Zitnik on D. Yeah, that D's not that great. Drew Miller, Paranto, Bobby Ryan, Getzlaff, Ryan, Zvitov, McDonald, Brent, Carrier, Lupul, Dackel, Perry, and Brendan Reed. So, forwards definitely better than the D, and they have decent goaltending as long as Brizgalov can hold the fort. So it's going to be Brizgalov in net for Anaheim. We are going to Brian Elliott. And we won 2-1. We outshot Anaheim 47-31. Ilya Brizgalov was the first star of the game despite the loss. He made 45 saves. Corey Perry was the second star with a goal, and Jason Spezza was the third star with 2 assists. 19,802 people in attendance for that game. Marianos opened up the scoring in the first. It was his 5th from Pavel Datsyuk and Jason Spezza, and then Pavel Datsyuk on the power play from Jason Spezza. It was 2-0 Sens after 1. And then Anaheim scored in the second period, made it 2-1, but that was it. We won 2-1. Alright, so we are facing Anaheim again, of course. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals in Ottawa. Brizgalov and Elliott are going to be in net for their respective teams. And we won 4-1, and we're up 2-0. So 34-20 the shots in Ottawa's favor. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star with a goal and 2 assists. Jason Spezza was the second star with 2 assists. And Matt Unwick, who just recently came back from injury, was the third star with an assist. 20,066 people in attendance for that game. Nobody scored in the first. Then in the second period, all the goals were scored. So we have Datsyuk from Unwick and Spezza, then Brooks-like from Datsyuk and Spezza, then Anaheim scored, and then Osa from Volchenkov and Datsyuk, and Mike Fisher from Chris Kelly and Ryan Callahan. 4-1 is the final score. Zdeno Chara found somebody else to fight in that series. It looks like it was Alexei Zitnik in the third period. Oh, it's time to vote for the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the top 4. There you go. Maybe I'll vote for somebody else next year. Alright, so we are now in Anaheim, so in California to face the Ducks. Game 3, we are up 2-0. We are still going to Brian Elliott, and they are going to Ilya Brizgalov. So and we won 4-3 in overtime. We really took a good option on the Stanley Cup. We outshot Anaheim 38-25. Jason Spezza was the first star of the game. He participated to all the goals with a goal and 3 assists. Matt Ryan was the second star with an assist, and Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with 2 goals. So Zdeno Chara scored first in the first period from Jason Spezza and Mike Fisher, made it 1-0. Then Anaheim scored twice in the second period, made it 2-1. Then we tied the game with Pavel Datsyuk scoring his 5th from Marianosa and Jason Spezza. And then Anaheim took another lead 3-2. But then Jason Spezza in the third period scored from Mark Streit and Zdeno Chara, made it 3-3. And Pavel Datsyuk played the hero in the first overtime from Jason Spezza, made it 4-3. And Anton Volchenkov is hurt, but we are up 3-0, and he might be able to play through his lacerated hand. Alright, so that might already be the last game of that season. We're in Anaheim, we're up 3-0 in this series. We have Brian Elliott in net, they have Ilya Bryzgalov. I'm going to click on the button. Yep, we have swept the Ducks in the Stanley Cup Finals. We won 3-2, and we won the Stanley Cup again. So we outshot Anaheim 32-24. Jason Spezza was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Pierre-Alexandre Parenteau was the second star with 2 assists, and Sheldon Souray was the third star with an assist. So Spezza scored first from Zdeno Chara and Mark Streit, then Pavel Datsyuk from Sheldon Souray and Jason Spezza made it 2-0. Patrick Eaves made it 3-0 with assists from Matt Unwick and Brooks Laich. Anaheim scored twice, but that was it, and we won 3-2. Alright, we're going to look at the winners of the awards real quick. It's already been over an hour. So we won the Stanley Cup. Yay us. Outstanding Season Nets Art Trophy for Sidney Crosby. Jason Spezza wins the Connie Smythe. Brian Elliott wins the Vezina. Nicholas Lidstrom wins the Norris. The Calder goes to Frolik, I called it. GM of the Year goes to Mike Keenan in Chicago. Darren Elm wins the Selke. That's sad for Chris Kelly. The Maurice Richard Trophy goes to Jagger. Artros goes to Crosby. Brooks Orpik wins the Plus Minus Award. Panthers. The Roger Crozier Saving Grace Award goes to Markstrom in Florida. Brian Elliott wins the Jennings. Lady Bing goes to Phil Kessel. Jason Pominville wins the Bill Masterton. Rob Blake wins the Mark Missy Leadership Award. Sidney Crosby also wins the Ted Lindsay. Jack Adams goes to Ed Olchak in Anaheim. So the NHL's All-Stars names, so we have Brian Elliott, Zdeno Chara, Pavel Datsyuk, and Jason Spezza that have been named to it. And that's it for this season. So we won another Stanley Cup. Wasn't that easy this time. We didn't even finish first, and in the playoffs I had a tendency to lose games. So we still prevailed and we won, but looks like maybe things are getting a little bit more difficult, slightly. Of course, it remains to be seen if that's going to continue that way. So, well, that's it, folks. Another Stanley Cup in our back pocket. The back pocket is starting to be full, so we're going to need to start putting the Stanley Cups in our backpack or something. But anyway, so I do want to thank you for tuning in, and if you've liked the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.